It's the most wonderful time of the year.
That's right, it's tax season!
Isn't it just terrible?
And you're looking forward to a whole new world of giving to your government. But what other season could garner so much emotion, most of it pain and suffering, that makes you mark April 15th on your calendar every year? Okay, I guess that's enough fun for now, but yes, we've entered the dreaded tax season. So if you want to know about how Virginia, and even more specifically, our mountain and valley areas stack up to other states when it comes to state taxes, property taxes, and yes, like every other state, there's more taxes, then hang around throughout this video where I'll break down many of Virginia's taxes so that you'll know what you'll have to pay. And if you hang around until the end of the video, I'm going to tell you where Virginia ranks in overall tax burden when compared to all 50 states. Sounds like a whole bunch of fun, right? Well, before we have all that fun, let's go ahead and get started right now.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Hi, my name's Stephen, and no, I am not the tax man. I'm the tax-paying man, I guess you would say. But anyway, along with my wife Leslie, as local real estate agents here in Virginia's beautiful mountains and valleys, it's been our honor to have helped so many folks who are buying or selling a home. We'd love to help you as well if you're looking to sell a home or purchase a home. All of our information is in the description below, so call us, text us, email us, so that we can help you too. Additionally, if you like our channel, if you like learning more about the homes and neighborhoods here in the area, but not just that, if you like learning a lot of the fun things and festivals and things like that that take place here in our mountains and valleys, click that subscribe button, touch that bell icon, and that way you won't miss a minute of all the episodes to come. In today's video, I told you I was going to break down some taxes in Virginia. So here's the taxes that I'm going to break down. I'm going to break down real estate property tax. I'm going to break down Virginia income tax, personal property tax, sales tax, and a handful of other taxes that you may or may not have in your state. Now, I'm also going to show you any differences that our mountain and valley area here may have compared to the rest of Virginia. So, are you ready? Well, let's go ahead and get started with real estate property taxes. I mean, after all, we are a real estate channel, and that seems like an obvious place to start. So, where does Virginia rank in the United States in this realm? Well, as you can see, Virginia is ranked in the lowest 20 states at number 19, according to Belong.com. Now, the average rate per $100 of home value in Virginia has residents paying 83 cents on that $100 of value. Now, the state in the middle of the United States would be Oregon at a rate of 0.92 per $100, which we'll use as the United States median here in just a second. Now, as you can see, Hawaii has the lowest at 29 cents, but coincidentally, they also have the most expensive homes in the United States, meaning you're still going to pay a lot in property taxes in Hawaii. Now, however, if you live in New Jersey, and I have a friend or two that do live up there, if you own a home there, you're paying a whopping $2.46 per $100 of home value for your home. Ouch. So now that let's talk about Virginia. And as you can see, it's ranked amongst the more affordable states. How does that break down, though, in the cities and the counties here in our area? Now, if you're not familiar with Virginia, it's the only state where the entire state is comprised of counties and independent cities. Each of them is responsible for their own jurisdictions. There's 95 counties and 38 independent cities. So, since property taxes are determined by the local jurisdiction in Virginia, we'll look at the 5 counties and the 6 independent cities here in our area. Now, when you look at that, as you can see, when compared to the United States median of 92 cents per $100, all of the counties have lower rates. Lexington has the same rate, and Charlottesville and Harrisonburg are slightly above the national median. Now, before I go any further, let me say this. These are the rates that are currently posted on each of these jurisdictions' websites. Each jurisdiction has its own timeline for determining assessed values and determining its real estate tax rate. For example, Augusta County reassesses property values every 4th year. And of course, at that time, it has the option to change the tax rate. And as a matter of fact, this year, the county assessed that, and they did a great thing, realizing that the value of homes had increased at such an inordinate rate over the last 4 years that the county actually lowered the multiplier from 63 cents to 52 cents per every $100. Now, of course, lots of residents really encouraged the county supervisors to make this change so that property taxes wouldn't skyrocket in a disproportionate manner. So why am I saying this? Well, each of the 131 Virginia jurisdictions decides how often they will assess property values and potentially change that multiplier. For example, Harrisonburg assesses yearly and Waynesboro every 2 years. Now, some of the data on this graph may change over the next 2 years, but of course right now it's going to give you a good idea of what it's like here in this area. Now, also, I realize that not all states determine the assessed value of a home equally, which is going to mean assessed values and multipliers may not all be equal, but like I say, it's directionally correct. So, now you know each jurisdiction's rate, but you say, put that into real money for me. Well, okay. Well, let's say that you own a $500,000 home here in our area. These are the property taxes that you would pay in each locality. As you can see, Augusta County is the lowest and Harrisonburg is the highest. But for those of you who live in New Jersey, like I said, some of my friends live there and they've told me that their property tax bill is crazy. It's like out of sight. And all I know is that I'm glad that I'm not paying $12,300 a year in property taxes like they are in that $500,000 house if it were in New Jersey. Now, there's a couple of states right behind them too, and with the exception of Texas and New Hampshire, which have no state income tax, you guys in Connecticut, Illinois, and like I said already, New Jersey, you're paying some crazy taxes when it comes to property taxes. I can say that I am very happy to be here in our beautiful mountains and valleys of Virginia, where most of the property tax rates are less than the United States median, which is one reason that it really makes this area an attractive place to live. But there's also another way to compare taxes. We need to take a look at the values of homes in an area. As I mentioned earlier, even though Hawaii has the lowest property tax rate, they also have the most expensive average home values as well. So you're still going to pay a lot in property taxes. So here's the median home values in our area. And as you can see, when compared to the United States median price of approximately $420,000, all of the jurisdictions in the Shenandoah Valley have home values that are less than the United States median. That's another great reason for living here, is because of the cost of purchasing a home is much less than in most of the United States. But now let's go ahead and apply those property tax rates that we looked at earlier to the median home value of the homes here in 2024 in each jurisdiction. And as you can see, the property tax bills are much less than most places in the United States. And, for say it again, that's yet another thing that makes this an attractive place to live. All right, now there are other taxes where Virginia is ranked among the best states, but this video is about all the taxes, or at least the major ones. And for the next tax, well, Virginia isn't one of the better states in which to live. What tax is that? Well, it's the state income tax. Now, when it comes to determining each state's income tax amount, there's a ton of variables, except for the 9 states that don't have state income taxes. However, when it comes to the other 41 states, you have to take into account things such as different tax brackets, what income levels does each bracket include. I mean, for example, Alabama's top bracket is 5% for all income over $5,000. While the state of California doesn't even have a 5% bracket, but the top of their 4% bracket is $80,490 if you're married and filing jointly. Now, their top tax bracket in California is 13.3% though. Now, of course, then you must consider whether you're single or married filing jointly or head of household, and do states have deductions? I mean, still other states have just one tax rate for all income. Some, like Virginia, pay a graduated rate, adding the brackets below to yours, to your total, and some you just pay the percentage for the bracket that you're in. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And the reason I bring that up is because this can really be difficult to give an actual specific number, but we'll do the best that we can based on the information that we have. Now, I know I'm really far into the weeds, and I'm trying to not be confusing here, but it is confusing to try to put all this together. But so for the purposes of this video, I'm going to use each state's tax rate for an annual income of $100,000. Now, I get it. All things won't be perfectly equal, but if we use $100,000 annual income, the approximate amount of Virginia's state income taxes you'd pay is about $5,750, ranking us about 33rd. And just so you know, Virginia has a 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, and 5.75% tax bracket. And that highest tax bracket of 5.75% begins at $17,500 of annual income. So, I mean, pretty much most everybody that has a full-time job in Virginia is in the top tax bracket. Now, you'll also have to pay the additional $720 as well from the lower brackets, but with that information, you can roughly figure your tax in Virginia. Okay, my head hurts, and I haven't even started figuring my income taxes for this year yet. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's move on to something else. Let's talk about something that Virginia, well, we absolutely suck. And that is personal property tax. And why is it so bad? Well, because Virginia has the highest personal property tax rate of any state, including, make it 51 with the District of Columbia. According to Wallet Hub, about half of the states have some type of personal property tax. And the most common type of personal property tax is on vehicles. So out of the 25 states that do have some type of vehicle personal property tax, Louisiana has the lowest of about 10 cents per $100 value. And look at our claim to fame in Virginia, number 51, a $3.97 per $100 value average tax rate. Woohoo! I mean, now, while that really stinks, you have to remember that $3.97 is the state average. And once again, like real estate property taxes, each local jurisdiction sets its own personal property tax rates. Now, here's where the news gets a little better. A large portion of our area has vehicle property tax that is less than the state average. And once again, like I say, once again, like real estate property taxes, Augusta County has the lowest vehicle personal property tax as well. And I was kind of surprised to see that Buena Vista has the highest. But how do those numbers look in dollars? Well, if you have a vehicle that is valued at $20,000, then you'd pay anywhere in our area from $520 to $1,050. And I know we Virginians hate to pay this tax every year, and many states are moving away from personal property tax, and hopefully Virginia will do the same. But it does make you wonder where these states, and if Virginia were to do that, where they make up that revenue. Or maybe they'll just do without that revenue. Sure they will. All right, I'll try not to be too sarcastic here, but you'll also have to pay personal property taxes on motorcycles, trucks, trailers, mobile homes, aircraft, boats, and any type of watercraft. And if you own a business, there are personal property taxes on equipment and other things as well. Okay, now after the personal property tax conversation, we have got to find a way to balance this out. The negativity is oozing. So let's go to a tax topic where Virginia does very well, and that is state sales tax. Now, we're not as good as the 5 states that have no sales tax. But when it comes to a comparison of average tax rates, Virginia has the 10th lowest of all of the states at 5.77%. So, with state sales tax rates ranging to over 9.5%, like they do in Tennessee, Virginia looks really good. Now, Tennessee being one of those 9 no state income tax states, this is probably where they make up lots of their necessary revenue by paying nearly twice as much sales tax as Virginia residents do. But anyway, back to Virginia here. That 5.77% rate is an average. But the good news is that in our area, the state sales tax rate is less than that. So why the difference? Isn't there just one state sales tax statewide? Well, yes, but let me explain. First of all, Virginia has a 4.3% state tax, sales tax, on most purchases. However, again, cities and counties can also impose a local sales tax, and they've done that, and it ranges between 0%, really 1%, and 2.7%. Now, all of Virginia's localities pose at least a 1% additional sales tax, which means that the sales taxes range from 5.3% to 7%. Now, here's a map that details the areas that have the different rates. And as you can see, the most expensive sales tax rates, the yellow, are around the Williamsburg area, followed by the Tidewater area and also Richmond and Northern Virginia. And then a few mostly rural areas are a little lower at 6%. And finally, most of the counties and cities in Virginia impose just a 5.3% sales tax rate, including those here in our area. So, even in addition to being ranked 10th overall, sales taxes in our area is actually less than that 5.7% average. So, like most states, additional localities place additional sales taxes on restaurants and lodging, and here's what that looks like in our area, where they range from restaurants from 4% to 7%. But that doesn't approach some localities here in Virginia that add an additional 10% onto that 5.3% tax rate. For example, if you eat a meal at a restaurant in Waynesboro, you'll pay the normal 5.3% sales tax and an additional 7% restaurant sales tax for a total of 12.3%. We all hate that part, but some localities, like I said, impose up to 10%, but none of them are around this area. Now, groceries, and as the state puts it, certain essential personal hygiene items, they are taxed at 1% only. No 5.3 plus 1%, just 1%. Now, of course, there's other little nuances about it, but at least it'll give you a good idea about the sales tax here in Virginia, which overall is the 10th best in the United States. And finally, let's take a look at 3 more taxes, and we'll just call them retirement taxes. The first one, Virginia does not tax Social Security income. Also, number 2, Virginia has no estate taxes. And finally, number 3, Virginia also has no inheritance taxes. So, if you're living, let's start with Social Security taxes, or states that tax Social Security, I should say. If you're living in one of those 9 states, if you were to live in Virginia, you'd have about $1,100 a month more if you were making the average or receiving the average Social Security payment here in Virginia. Now, next is the wonderful estate tax, with Washington State leading the way by charging its residents up to 20% in estate taxes. They are one of the 12 states plus the District of Columbia that still has estate taxes. And finally, we're going to go to the last one here. There's 6 states that still have some form of inheritance tax, because nothing says love but to tax what your mom and dad gave to you. Now, as you can see, there's several states that have more than one of these three taxes. But Vermont, you guys get the win, as your residents are being taxed in all three categories. All right, so you've seen a lot of data and a lot of graphs, and by now your head's probably spinning around. I know mine was spinning around trying to accurately research all this data and weed out some incorrect data online. Believe it or not, there's incorrect data online. Trying to weed out the outdated data and all the other types of things to gather this together. But at the beginning of the video, I told you that if you hung around until the end of the video, I'd tell you where Virginia ranks overall when you're talking about a total tax burden. Now, there are multiple sources that provide this information, and you probably won't be surprised that it's not all the same. For example, Wallet Hub has Virginia ranked as the 22nd most taxed state, and taxfoundation.org has us ranked as the number 28th most taxed. So really, where are we ranked? Well, I'd say as a state, we're ranked right in the middle of all states, having around an 8.5% total tax burden. So no, Virginia residents are not the least taxed, nor are we close to being the most taxed. We are right in the middle. And of course, I hope our taxes will continue to decrease, but Leslie and I also love where we live here in our beautiful mountains and valleys, and much of our region is separated from the hustle and bustle and traffic, and yes, from other places in Virginia that have higher taxes. So although Virginia ranks in the middle overall, I'd probably say that this particular area of Virginia would rank a few places closer to the top if you were to just compare this area to the rest of the United States. Now, of course, we've got all the wonderful things here, the mountains and valleys and things to do here that I talk about in so many of our other videos that really makes this area of Virginia one of a kind. And, you know, we just think it's a real amazing place to live. But maybe right now you're living in a place where taxes are high and very burdensome. Or maybe you're just in a place where life could be better. I mean, whatever the case may be, if you're considering Virginia as a new place to call home, Leslie and I would love to help. All of our contact information is in the description below, so please don't hesitate to call, text, or email us, and we really would. We'd be honored to help you to enjoy the good life. So maybe you already live here and you know how special this place really is, and maybe you're looking to sell your home. If that's the case, Leslie and I would love to help you out as well. Okay, we've only got a couple of months now until our federal income taxes are due on April 15th. And I know that whether you do your own taxes or gather all the information together and have someone else do them for you, you, like us, must be so excited right now. Maybe not. But I hope this video has given you a good idea about taxes here in Virginia, and I know that I learned a lot along the way as well. So until next time, make sure you get all the deductions you can this year. And when you get done, I'll see you around town.